We've also been focusing on many different issues in the education sector and the course of our morning edition programs at 6:47 in Trinidad and Tobago, and that is going to be our focus leading up towards 7 o'clock, because we're joined now by Esther Jones, Managing Director of Study Abroad Student Services Limited, to tell us about a couple of events happening this week. They're assisting parents and students locally and regionally by navigating through international options for tertiary education. They provide an all-round service by making connections, doing relevant research, acquiring scholarships, and preparing the student and parents for this very exciting and sometimes challenging stage of growth. They are visiting representatives who will be in the country for the event. There's one of those events happening on Sunday. It's going to be in Curep, upstairs, Little Caesars, the pizza place there. It's free of charge, by the way. And to give us more information on the event, which gets underway at 5:30 in the evening on Sunday, we're joined by Ms. Esther Jones. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Fazir. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you with us. So tell us about this event. It's free of charge. Is it open to the general public to get information? What's it all about?
Okay, so thank you again for having me. We are focused on helping students to find the right fit. So this Study Abroad Scholarship Information session is really to inform students and parents, as you said rightly, so to navigate these waters, with respect to studying abroad.
All right, and before we get to that, I understand there's an event that's happening today as well.
Yeah.
It has something to do with an event in Vancouver, Canada. Tell us about the event.
Okay, so the University Canada West, one of our university partners, we're actually at the Hyatt today and just having conversations as follow-ups to the major fair that happened last weekend at the Hyatt. So students and parents who are interested in coming down, they can certainly come down and we can have follow-up discussions, and we have time slots that have been pre-scheduled, and some persons can walk in as well.
Okay, so but this would be for those who had confirmed interest in the university from last week?
Yes.
Okay. And what time is the event today at the Hyatt?
So that's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
So 10 to 4, 6 to 8. But as you said, you'll apart from the appointments, if someone might just be hearing about this for the first time, can they come as well, or would they have had to be at the one last week?
No, they can. They can actually contact me locally at 1-868-345-4846.
Okay, so let's talk a bit more about what is going to be happening with Sunday evening's event. Who are you hoping will take advantage of this opportunity?
Persons who are pursuing CSEC or have finished, CAPE, gap year students, as well as some persons are pursuing bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, and now they've maybe even finished their bachelor degree and looking at opportunities to do their master's degree abroad.
What sort of information will they be getting come Sunday?
So on Sunday we're looking at making sure that persons understand what it means to have the right fit. That's the first thing. Making sure that you understand what that means. And it'll be a lot of Q&A, right? So it's not going to be a whole lecture series. That's not how it works at all. Not in 2022 anyway.
Right.
Right? So persons getting a sense of, okay, why should I choose this particular school? How do I identify the right fit of school for me, right? More than just, okay, let me fall into a space. No. Because there are many things to consider in terms of the features and characteristics of institutions, and we have a network of institutions that we lead our students to across the globe: US, UK, Canada, Dubai, Europe, including Germany, Denmark, Norway, and the like.
And tell us a bit more about your organization, Study Abroad and Scholarship, and tell us about, Study Abroad Student Services. Tell us a bit more about the organization.
Well, we started off, again, trying to figure out how to help students to navigate the right fit. I am a recipient of 3 scholarships. And those, that's something that usually I don't put out front, but it's something that I know carries tremendous weight. And the journey to earn each of those scholarships at the bachelor degree level, the first master's and the second master's, those were covered and paid for.
Right.
it's very important to understand how to engage with the universities, what they're looking for, how to write the essays, what exactly are they seeking to make, to get from you as a student, and whether that institution, the program, is even a fit for you. So it's beyond just pick a major, pick a minor, right? It's more than that. It's now about how does that program leverage into my future at the end goal, the end strategy, the end game, not just the entrance strategy, but the exit strategy, and between that is the fit.
And how important is that you talked about, the right fit as far as the student and the university and their program and so on, because sometimes, I remember my dark days at A-levels because I had no idea what was going on. But I used to see everybody talk about Oxford and Cambridge and LSE and MIT and so on. Of course, I was nowhere near to even getting anywhere close to any of those, but it just seemed almost like a conveyor belt. Would it be correct to say that still happens, that people automatically assume that XYZ university, because of the big name, must be the best one for me?
That is very much the assumption. It remains that way. Part of it is because the students are, they are children of the generation before who thought that way, so they carry through in that way as well. But what they don't realize is that a lot of times the rankings have to do with research capacity for those institutions. So sometimes students make a choice and say the number one or the number two, but that student themselves, they're not built for a research university program or a research degree type of program. So I've had students from the Bahamas, for example, who wanted to get into law, and they wanted to go the route of, okay, I'll do psychology. And I said, okay, if you're going to do psychology, what's your outcome? Are we doing a BS in psychology or BA? If you're doing a BS in psychology, that's a Bachelor of Science, so you're going into the sciences. If you're going a BA in psychology, that may lead you to political science and then likely to pre-law. But if you do a Bachelor in Science in psychology, that's going to take you in a different direction. Yeah?
So
it matters.
It matters. I listen to all the BA and the BS and everything, and I'm wondering about all
BSc as well.
Yeah, and I know in politics there's a lot of BS also, which is a different type of BS. But so come the event on Sunday, are those issues going to be discussed? I'm sure people have a lot of questions. Yes. And sometimes people feel a little funny asking. I don't ask the question, it might sound too stupid. Is the place too cold? Do you get the right food? Okay, I'm a vegetarian, or I'm a Muslim, I'm a Hindu, or will I be able to get that sort of food for my child when they go up there? Or do I have to send food for them every weekend, that sort of thing? Are those kind of questions asked at all?
Perfect questions. There is no such thing as a silly question. There is no such thing. I've had parents say, okay, so what's the difference between a college and a university? Is that silly? Absolutely not. Because we're navigating not just the students, but the parents themselves through this. Many, it's their first time in their lives going through this. And we need to walk them through and make them feel comfortable and feel safe to ask questions off to the side, right? But I would say 95% of the time it's the same set of questions. It's just that they're a little bit embarrassed to ask in front of everyone.
Sure.
Yeah?
And would you be encouraging people at the event on Sunday to feel free and comfortable to ask those questions, or are there some specific points or specific issues that you need to get across in the session on Sunday?
We'll start off with some basic information. One of the things I do want to speak about are the cycles of scholarships, right? Scholarships go in cycles, just like money operate in cycles, and financial years operate in cycles. Scholarships operate in cycles as well. So knowing when those deadlines are, when to hit those particular seasons that the scholarships can be accessed, going in and working through that, and then the way forward,
How difficult is it though to tell somebody, well, based on what you're telling me, based on what your goals are, that school that it seems to be your ultimate goal really might not be the right fit for you? How do you tell somebody that?
Well, what we do is we usually would work through a checklist. And with that checklist, there are usually blind spots that the parent has not seen or, come to understand, because usually they trust their kids. If my son or daughter has 8 distinctions, don't tell me that they don't know what they're making, they're making a decision.
That's where I was going to. I was saying, you feel you could come and tell me that my child ain't good enough to go by so-and-so school?
Right. So you have having a 4.0 on paper And then there's a 4.0 in real life, right? And the parents, that's where parents step in and we encourage them and say, even though the kids have a 4.0 on paper, you, mom and dad, have an A++ in real life. You know nonsense from a mile. You can see when there's an issue from a mile away, but the student may not see it because their blinders are on, this is my school, and the parent goes, wait a minute, this is an issue. And sometimes bridging that gap is what we do. Yeah.
How many students want to go to a particular school? Not just because of the reputation, maybe family members went to it as well, but all their friends going there. And they want to keep the line going rather than actually focus primarily on their educational pursuits.
Just this week, had to break up a little line. This week, I had to break up a line. This week, had to... just this week, so that's important.
And I can imagine how those challenges can be. We're gonna conclude our discussion in a short while. We have the news coming up at the top of the hour. But let's very importantly remind everybody, it sounds as if it's going to be a very engaging event that's happening on Sunday. But before we talk about that, let's remind everyone about the event happening today at the Hyatt. Tell us quickly about the times and what people can do to attend.
Okay, so this is going to be more of a follow-up, sit-down session, and so we're asking persons between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., persons who engaged with one of our university partners, University Canada West.
Right.
They can certainly come down to the Hyatt and have follow-up discussions after having met at the fair, as well as from 6 to 8 p.m. If it is that they have their application information, their support documents, they should walk with their documents, and we would be able to review those documents and assist them with the application process.
And the event 5:30 on Sunday at upstairs Little Caesars. That's at Southern Main Road in Curep. Just again remind us about that one.
So that is the study abroad and scholarship information session, and there we're going to be helping students, helping parents to navigate these unsure waters and figure out what would be the right fit for them, just to help them to roadmap that way forward. It's free of charge. Most of our work actually is free of charge, and we do that intentionally to encourage persons to walk this process through. Depending on what is needed following that, then we provide service support.
And finally, before we toss to the news very quickly, if anyone wants to reach out to you or your organization, Study Abroad Student Services, where can they find you?
They can initially contact us via WhatsApp, 1-868-345-4846. Also on Facebook at SASS-com. Our website is www.1sass.com. And our email address is studyabroad@1sass.com.
Mr. Jones, thanks very much for taking the time to be with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. It's 7 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago. We've reached the end of the first hour of Morning Edition. Time for the news.